All right, today we're talking about one of the biggest, most exciting leaps in AI, agents. And this is where things get really interesting, because it's where AI stops just talking to us and actually starts doing things, taking real autonomous action out in the world. So think about this. We've all used an AI assistant, right? You ask it a question, you get an answer, but have you ever had that feeling where you just wish it could, handle the task for you? Not just give you information, but actually take that next step? Well, that's exactly the problem that AI agents are here to solve. Okay, so to really get a grip on where we're headed, let's take a quick look back at where we've been. And that means starting with something we all know pretty well, the simple chatbot. And here's the absolute core difference. An AI assistant, it's pretty passive. You ask, what's the weather in Tokyo? And it tells you the temperature. Simple. But an AI agent, that's a whole different ballgame. It's an active collaborator. You give it a big goal, something like, hey, plan my trip to Tokyo for next week. And it just goes to work. It starts checking forecasts, comparing flight options, looking up cool activities, and actually building a full itinerary for you. See the difference? One gives you a single fact, the other accomplishes a whole goal. So that leads us right to the big question. If it's not just a fancy chatbot, what exactly is an AI agent? Now, the official definition can sound a little academic, but the key words are actually super simple: perceive, reason, and execute. See, unlike a regular program that just follows a rigid script, an agent can sense its environment, like the internet or maybe a folder of files on your computer. Then it thinks about the best next step to take, and then it actually takes action to get closer to its goal. It's a dynamic process. We can really boil this down to three key characteristics. First up is autonomy. This thing operates on its own. You don't have to hold its hand. Second, it's goal-oriented. You don't give it a command, you give it an objective, and it takes the initiative to figure out how to get there. And third, and this one is absolutely crucial, is environmental interaction. This means it's not just stuck inside its own little text box. It can actually reach out and interact with and even change things in the digital world. Let's dig into the technical side a bit. If you look at actions, a simple app is pretty much text only. An agent, though, it can use tools to actually do stuff. And for control flow, a basic app just follows a fixed, predefined path. An agent is totally different. It's dynamic, it's adaptive, its plan literally changes on the fly based on what it discovers. And that right there is a fundamental game changer. So, you might be wondering, how does this whole dynamic, adaptive process actually work? How does an agent think its way through a problem? Well, it all comes down to this really simple but powerful core loop. Okay, this loop is as simple as it is powerful. First, the agent perceives the situation. It gathers information. Then, it reasons about what it should do next to hit its goal. And finally, it acts, usually by using a tool. And it just keeps doing this, over and over and over, constantly updating its own understanding with the results of its last action. And this whole loop is powered by a pattern called REACT. It's a super clever name, right? Because it's literally what the agent is doing. It's combining reasoning with acting. And it turns out that weaving these two things together is way, way more powerful than just thinking on its own or just acting on its own. Let's make this real. Imagine an agent gets a complex request. The very first thing it does is form an internal thought, basically a little piece of reasoning. It's creating a mini plan for itself right inside its head. Then, based on that thought, it chooses and executes an action. So here, it decides, okay, the best first step is to use a search tool. And this is the key point. It's not just guessing. It's acting on a specific, reasoned plan it just came up with. That action, of course, produces a result. The agent sees this result as an observation. This brand new piece of information is now part of its world, part of its environment. It's the critical feedback it needs to figure out what to think next. And boom, the loop continues. The agent now thinks, okay, I know the capital is Paris, now I need its population. And just like that, it kicks off another action. This cycle of thought, then action, then observation just keeps repeating until it has all the pieces it needs to finally give you the answer. All right, so we've been saying that agents act by using tools. But what exactly are these tools? And how do they give the agent all this power? I absolutely love this quote from the source material. It says, tools are the hands of an agent. And that's just the perfect metaphor, isn't it? The language model itself is this brilliant brain, but without tools, it can't actually do anything. It's just a thinker, trapped.
Tools are what give it the ability to act. So think of it exactly like this. The large language model, the LLM, that's the brain. It comes up with a strategy, the what to do next. But the tools, those are the hands that actually perform the action. And that action could be searching the web, running a complex calculation, or even calling out to a completely different piece of software. And the range of tools an agent can have is just vast. We're talking about web search for up-to-the-minute information, code execution to run scripts or do math, file operations to read and write documents, and even API integration to connect with pretty much any other software or service out there. This is how it could interact with your email, your calendar, or even a company's private database. So, when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? Well, you're looking at the future of AI, truly autonomous assistants. And believe it or not, we've really only scratched the surface here. The next level of agents are being built with things like memory, so they can actually learn from past interactions. And they have sophisticated planners that can take a huge, complicated goal and break it down into a whole series of smaller, manageable steps. And this is the key takeaway, the big idea. Agents represent a massive paradigm shift. We are moving away from thinking of AI as a passive tool that just responds to us. Instead, we're moving toward an AI that is an active collaborator, something we can genuinely partner with to accomplish really complex things. But of course, with all this power comes a whole lot of responsibility. Giving AI the ability to act in the world, well, that's a big deal. Building these systems requires a serious commitment to safety. We're talking strong guardrails, human oversight, and constant monitoring to make absolutely sure they're operating the way they're supposed to. So I want to leave you with this one final thought. For the very first time, we aren't just giving AI a voice. We're giving it hands to interact with and to shape our digital world. And the really big question for all of us is, what are we going to ask it to build?